I thank the Movement for Black Lives for having invited me to address the Black National Convention 2020. This is an extraordinary moment. More people than ever, not only in the US, but all over the world, are finally acknowledging that racism is not simply about individual attitudes that can be overcome with individual therapy or the like, and that it is not simply about developing policies of diversity and inclusion which leave larger structures intact, structures that were responsible for white supremacists and exclusionary practices in the first place. I can also say I am immensely excited because we are finally engaging in public discussions in Black communities and beyond about radically transforming those structures that have served as the lifelines of racism, misogyny, transphobia, ableism, and the economic injustices that are ubiquitous. Prisons are racist and inhumane institutions that do not make our society safer. They do not rehabilitate. Efforts to create better prisons most often render state violence more permanent and more palatable. Racist police lynchings, such as the one that claimed the life of George Floyd, cannot be ended without abolishing the very institutional conditions that rendered possible his murder, Breonna Taylor's, Tony McDade's, Rayshard Brooks, and the untold numbers of others. The connection between state violence and racism is not simply a US problem. Let us remember that Black queer activist Marielle Franco was assassinated by a former police officer in Brazil. Adama Traoré was murdered by a police officer in the suburbs of Paris. His sister Assa has led a movement against racist state violence in France over the last 4 years. People in Iran are still standing up to the government in an attempt to memorialize those who died in the 1988 prison massacre. We do not get rid of the old and assume that the new must be constructed on the same foundation as the old. We create new foundations, new footprints, new societies. Our focus today cannot be so narrowly directed toward what we oppose, but rather it should be directed at what we want. This is a moment ripe with possibility. So let the convening of the National Black Convention be a launching pad for a radical left agenda, a Black left agenda, and will encourage us all to push ourselves to fight for the future and for the world we deserve.